Houston Real Estate Radio.
Welcome back to Houston Real Estate Radio. I'm your host, Shannon Register, and I have with me here in the RREA.com studio joining me today, Don Sumners, who is the Harris County Tax Assessor Collector. And we had an interesting conversation last segment, and I want to just carry that on because really interesting. There are a lot of people delinquent on their property taxes right now. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, of course, these are bad times for a lot of people, and of course property taxes are a major expenditure. So if you're not a real saver, you sometimes get caught in a bind, and we try to help out our taxpayers as best we can. We do have an installment agreement, as we previously mentioned, and that helps a lot of people. We also have what I call a lifesaver for the elderly and the disabled, which is known as a tax deferral. And anyone can elect this treatment, which in effect allows you to not pay your property taxes at all until you either sell your home or you pass away. So that's a benefit to a lot of the elderly, which allows them to stay in their home.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great benefit. If they know they're going to live in their home until they die, and then, and then the house is going to be sold and not, inherited and lived in. What a great benefit.
Yes, it is. And you do have to pay 8% simple interest. But
so it's a little bit higher.
Right, okay. But than a mortgage would be. But it beats the 1% a month penalty.
Sure.
And the interest,
right,
that you have to pay throughout the year. So
that is a great program. And how old do you have to be?
You either have to be disabled or over 65 to have the over 65 exemption.
Okay. And the other big tax exemption for property taxes that most people know about is the homestead exemption.
Yes, that's widely used by most of the jurisdictions. Now, some of the independent school districts do not have a homestead exemption because they are made up mostly of homes, which then, makes the exemption less favorable.
Now, for those listeners who weren't with us last segment, can you just kind of recap and tell us again what your primary role is as the tax assessor collector?
Well, my primary role really is on the collection part of the effort. Nowadays, with all the computers and everything, it's the billing process has been greatly automated. So the collection part of the process is where the customer service comes into play, and we have probably 20 or so full-time customer service representatives, plus the call center, which has over 30 people in it. So we have roughly 50 people devoted to answering taxpayer questions, trying to help them out. Of course, the most common question is, how much do I owe?
Right.
So we're now very highly automated, so we can pick that up, or if they want to know when they paid or who paid, we now are able to view the checks or the source of the payment right on the screens in the call center or customer service.
That's good. It makes it a little easier for your customer service
department.
Yes,
that's new within just the last few years.
Okay.
Before that, it was a lengthy process to go find that.
And I know some homeowners, they will escrow their payments so that they actually don't get the bill every year. Their mortgage company gets the bill. But I know sometimes that gets messed up and the bill goes to the homeowner. So my first question is, if that bill comes to you as a homeowner and you do escrow, what should you do? And the second part of my question is, tell us about that escrow process, how y'all are, how that works. You're billing the mortgage company and then they pay it for the consumer?
Yeah. The way it works is every August we send out a letter to all the mortgage companies and giving them instructions on how to request the bills for their customers.
Okay.
So if the mortgage company sends us an electronic file, and then we code those accounts to show that they're being requested by a mortgage company, so the taxpayer should actually not receive a bill. The problem that arrives in all that process is that there are so many sales of homes, or people changing mortgage companies or paying off their loans, that at times, the mortgage company would have requested the bill, then something happens, so when they actually get the bill, they don't pay it. So we have a process where every January, any taxpayer who has a mortgage company, or a mortgage company has requested their bill and it hasn't been paid, they get a letter themselves.
Okay. So they know if their mortgage or didn't pay it. Okay.
If it hasn't been paid, they get a letter with a bill saying, so that they can pay it themselves. And
if you get that and you do escrow, then you just send it on to your mortgage company.
Well, you probably should call your mortgage company, because they can't miss that January 31st deadline.
Or you'll start incurring penalties.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what about when mortgage companies sell the loan? Does that affect, getting these property taxes paid through escrow?
Yes, it does. And that becomes a problem, because the mortgage company that picks up the loan may not have, would not have made a request to pay it. Mm-hmm. And so we do get problems in that transfer situation, but the taxpayer, as I mentioned, is notified that the taxes have not been paid, so that they can fix that.
Because ultimately it's their responsibility, whether they escrow or not.
Yeah, the mortgage company's just their agent.
Right. Yeah. And if you do think that you're owed a refund on your taxes, what should you do?
Well, today a lot of the refunds are what we call automatic, so that you really don't have to do anything. If there's an exact duplicate payment, if the process, the process is that we will send it to the party that we think is due the refund automatically. The other process is where there's just an overpayment. That has to be a requested refund, so that we get an application from them, which is available on our website, and process that application and send the check.
Now, can they also get a homestead exemption form from your website? Because I know when we sell houses at the closing, they're given the homestead exemption form, but sometimes they forget to file it. So if they've lost that form or haven't filed...
Yes, it's available either on our website or on the Harris County Appraisal District website.
And when you say our website, which one is that?
That's the Harris County Tax Office website.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And so you mentioned that there are deferrals for people over 65 and for the disabled, and that can be military disabled or any other. I mean, it doesn't have to be military related.
Actually, right? the military, if you're on active duty, has their own separate deferral.
Okay.
And we have a process whereby the military officers or enlisted men can provide us with their orders, and if they're out of the country or they're in active military, then their taxes can be deferred also.
Okay, so they're not paying penalties.
Right.
Okay. And so there are several veteran benefits out there, so to help veterans as well.
Yes, there's a new one that is quite beneficial, that any disabled veteran that's 100% disabled is now totally exempt from property taxes.
Well, that's good. That helps them out a lot.
Yes,
that's a good thing.
Definitely. And, then they don't have to worry about losing their home for failure to pay their taxes.
Right. That's a great thing, not to lose their property after they've worked so hard to protect our country, right? And protect that property right. I want to thank you for coming on the show. You've shared some great information for consumers, and really appreciate you coming out and doing that today.
Well, I've enjoyed it.
Great. Here on Houston Real Estate Radio, you can call in at 281-882-8088 anytime and leave your real estate question, and we'll be happy to answer it on next Sunday's show. If you'd like to send us a question via Twitter, you can tweet that to us. Make sure you use hashtag HRER, and we'll get that answered for you as well. Anything that you've heard on today's program that you're interested in, you can learn more at rrea.com/radio, and that's always available to live stream the shows as well if you're not in the Houston area. Thanks for joining us for another edition of Houston Real Estate Radio.